Hi everyone, welcome to this video. My name is T. If you're new here, I really do hope everyone's day is going well. This portion of today's video is sponsored by Raycon. Look, I spend a decent 60% of my day consuming sonic media. Yes, even in public, and no, I don't feel bad about it. The only time I feel bad is when I don't have working earbuds that are equal parts efficient and discreet. When I gotta sacrifice listening to my favorite podcast at the grocery store, or I can't watch a video while I'm waiting in line for something, I'd be devastated, actually. But now I do both of those things and much more with the Everyday Earbuds by Raycon. These earbuds offer 8 hours of playtime and a 32-hour battery life. They start at half the price of other premium audio brands without sacrificing quality. They offer a rubber oil look and feel in a variety of colors. They have gel tips for a comfortable in-ear fit and a built-in mic, so you can still take calls. Raycons also come with a free 45-day happiness guarantee, so if you're ready to check them out, you can click the first link in the description box, or you can go to buyraycon.com/tnoir, or you can use code HOLIDAY to unlock exclusive deals up to 15% off your Raycon order. And of course, thank you to Raycon for sponsoring this portion of today's video. Now let's get it. Recently, rapper DaBaby made headlines again, this time not for perpetuating homo-negative comments that ain't nobody asked him for. By the way, isn't it so interesting how gay people and gay relations and gay sex just be on people's minds like that? Another conversation. But no, it wasn't that. He hit us with the remix. This time, Sir Jonathan was in Twitter news because he got into an altercation, which he streamed on Instagram Live, with the mother of one of his children, singer DaniLeigh, who also made headlines herself earlier this year for her colorist antagonization and racial opportunism. This is quite the pair. Their altercation set the Twitterverse ablaze, as things like this tend to do. And I mean, what can I say? My meme bank is restocked. Some of y'all really need to hit the road with some of those jokes, I swear. But before you do, let me ruin something real quick. On my most recent community post, a user named Robert asked a great question. Robert writes, "I would love to talk about how we use intimate partner violence as a form of entertainment. Why do we laugh at what's love got to do with it? Why do we watch DaBaby destroy Danny with glee?" Whoa. This is such an interesting question, and I'm really so glad I came across it, because initially my intro was gonna be me joking about how much I love when y'all be arguing on the internet. I love it, especially when y'all be arguing about other people's arguments. You really cannot find this shit on Netflix, you know what I mean? And that's why I really be having to ask myself, like, am I the drama? Am I the villain? I'd like to believe that we are all doing just that, laughing at the commentary and the reactions, and not necessarily the severity of the situations themselves, but that wouldn't be the entire truth. If I had to propose a theory, just like I said in my video about Will and Jada, there's a certain thrill, and I would even say a sense of relief, that comes from catching celebrities with their metaphorical pants down. It's a form of schadenfreude and inequity aversion because of the excess power and social status that celebrities have. It's a sense of relief that all that shit can be immediately leveled out by way of public embarrassment. Okay. When I initially recorded this video, I didn't realize that the verbiage of Robert's question was likely inspired by Intellectual Media's recent video called Black Femicide and Intimate Partner Violence, A History. I didn't realize that because I hadn't watched the video yet, but I finally did, and wow, that video was more than important, more than informative. I really suggest everyone not only watch it, but share it. Now, in the final chapter about intimate partner violence and celebrity culture, it really forces us as consumers of pop culture to examine why we ignore and even passively support the violence that Black male celebrities either joke about, threaten, or flat out commit against Black women. This next bit that I'm about to say does come full circle with that, but again, because I was so in the zone of writing this video, I didn't realize that Robert's question may have been more about physical violence than forms of social and political violence, which I am focusing on. They are both valid and both deserve to be talked about. I just want to make it clear that I'm not conflating the two or glossing over the physical aspect to better serve my argument. I just lapse in judgment, y'all. It really speaks volumes to the insidiousness of celebrity culture, but again, another conversation. But we go off the rails when, to bring Robert's question back into play, when instead of viewing certain situations like DaBaby's and DaniLeigh's for their hideousness, we trivialize it. We joke about it, we find joy in it, because in doing so, it lowers the stakes and it allows us to excuse this behavior when we see it appear in real life. But not today. I'll be the drama. If that means I'm gonna give these situations a proper examination, because this situation and ones like these invite so much critical thinking. Like, they invite so many interesting conversations, if and only if you can unravel yourself from like the tea of it all. Chapter 1, the dishonor of the baby mama. After those videos made decent rounds on the internet, which obviously did not take long, singer Summer Walker publicly extended her support for DaniLeigh, basically saying that she could relate to what DaniLeigh was going through and DaniLeigh could reach out to her for anything she needed, anything at all. Now I gotta say, this kind of support is beautiful. It's really nice to see that the same support that Cardi B extended to Summer when the internet had so much to say about her pregnancy, she was also extending to DaniLeigh. Summer Walker and DaniLeigh have so much more in common aside from mothering children to powerful men in the hip-hop music industry. For one, they both seemingly started out as tokens for these men, and although the flip has been switched and people want to act like they got amnesia, we saw the way DaBaby glorified and publicly admired DaniLeigh. And if I had to speculate, London on the Track was probably doing the same thing to Summer Walker. But why? What made them so special to these men, but only temporarily? If I had to speculate, it's because they were attractive, clearly attractive, talented, full of potential. They were already popular in their own right. But I feel what really drove it home and what really made them seem worlds away from the women that came before them was the fact that they had no children. Completely child-free. The position of the baby mama and the irreversible shame that comes with that stereotype is something I've been dying to talk about. You see, this is the part of the video where people realize I really didn't come to talk about the drama. I'm just riding in on my fuck-off feminist high horse. Gotcha. A baby mama, by my understanding, is a term most frequently charged at Black women, used to describe a young mother who is not currently married to or publicly romantically involved with the father of her child. It has a negative connotation and usually signifies a lack of respect for and or acknowledgement of the woman's existence outside of when it has to do with the child. By my view, it is negative, because there's a reason why baby mama isn't used interchangeably with ex-wife or ex-girlfriend or simply mother of child. It's very similar to people's use of the word female, which is so obviously code for woman I don't respect. And it's so funny to me when people try to like wiggle their way around it, like, no, when I say female, I'm just referring to any woman, all women. If you wouldn't be comfortable referring to your mother, your grandmother, your aunties, etc. as females, then there goes your awareness of its disrespectful nature right there. I mean, for all that work, just call me a fucking bitch. Now, on top of all of that, when a Black woman is called a baby mama, there's also often an insinuation of greed there as well. I believe that this stereotype only thrives because people are still holding on to the welfare queen myth. In a The New Republic article, Bryce Covert writes, as Ronald Reagan and other politicians ginned up anti-government and anti-poor resentment in the 1970s and 80s, the welfare queen stood in for the idea that Black people were too lazy to work, instead of relying on public benefits to get by. She was promiscuous, having as many children as possible in order to beef up her benefit intake. It was always a myth, but it was a potent stereotype which helped fuel a crackdown on the poor and a huge reduction in their benefits, and it remains powerful today. The welfare queen is said to be inspired by a real-life woman named Linda Taylor, who took on several aliases and used her children to commit welfare fraud. Now, what's interesting about Linda Taylor is she allegedly committed a slew of crimes in her day, including kidnapping, abuse, and murder. And it has been said that those were a product of her mental illness, but she wasn't tried and convicted for any of that. She was tried and convicted for the thousands of dollars in fraudulent payments she received. She should have had to answer for it all. Like, none of it was right. But the story of her welfare fraud was fixated on and then over-dramatized by politicians to push agendas of lazy, poor Black people and ultimately wage a war against the impoverished single Black mother. And clearly, we still see the legacy of that myth appearing today. But even in upper-class scenarios, these harmful assumptions are very hard to escape. Take, for example, the stigma we've placed on the rapper's baby mama. On social media, we've seen women who have achieved local popularity for their looks cross over into fame when they got in relationships or were simply seen with men of high social status, such as rappers. And I've also noticed that their names become more prevalent if and when they bear children with these men. From there, they may use this popularity to push their businesses or bring attention to their talents, or they may just continue to be seen with these men or in circles adjacent to them and reap the benefits of association from there. This formula is commonly found in women who social media and the tabloids usually mockingly refer to as the rapper's baby mama. The bias society places specifically on Black women who mother children out of wedlock, especially if it's to like a rapper or an athlete, is so... That still stands as one of my proudest videos, by the way. One of my least organized, for sure, but I still really like it. But yes, back to greed. Oh, my. Okay. Is eroticism an economic asset for women? Yes. Is it also many men's kryptonite? Yes. Can mothering a child to a financially secure man be a come-up for a woman who has her sights set on material wealth? Absolutely. That's just not how it goes most of the time. How does it go? People have sex, and sex sometimes makes babies. And sometimes the parents of those babies break up, or were never together to begin with, whatever, right? But when a Black woman ends up in that scenario, more often than not, she will be vilified. Because it's not just about money. Baby mamas are also stereotypically accused of stealing happiness and joy and futures and peace of mind. This was played out so perfectly in a recent episode of Insecure, which showed Condola's side, which I've been on for a very long time, by the way. In my eyes, it was never Issa versus Condola. It was always everybody versus Lauren. I am still the conductor of the Lawrence hate train. Ain't shit sweet over here. What, this man think that just because he got a lineup and a job that requires more than a pulse, I'm just gonna let him moonwalk his way back into Issa's life? All right, play the clip.
All right, look, I'm trying here, okay? This shit is hard for me too.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What part is hard for you? Oh, the free time or the full night's sleep? Which part?
Shut up. You never talked to me. You never even pretended to give me a chance.
I gave you a chance and you moved away.
Yeah, to take a job I already had before you blew my life up.
Blew your life up?
Yeah.
You are not a fucking victim.
Know what I mean? Get the fuck out of my face. But hold on, I do love Jay Ellis, the actor who plays Lawrence, and you know he commented on one of my TikToks one time. That was really nice of him. But still, fuck a Lawrence. In this case, Condola can sponsor Lawrence. Like, for real. He is probably, for the first time in his entire life, seeing the money that Condola's been seeing for at least the last 5 years. I mean, did just see the kitchen. And I have no doubt in my mind that his little ain't shit friend, what's his name? Chad. Fucking Chad. Ooh, who be all up in Lawrence's ear, encouraging him to do all sorts of fuckery. I have no doubt in my mind that he would have jumped at the opportunity to say that Condola trapped Lawrence for his money. But since that is clearly not the case, they had to go in from another angle. So let Lawrence tell it. Condola becoming pregnant was a devious plot to ruin him, rather than the likely outcome of a natural human activity of which he willingly participated. The bottom line is, the baby mama, from every angle, is seen as the enemy. Socially, politically, interpersonally. So it makes perfect sense why Summer Walker would get up on the high horse she did to argue with the mother of London on the Track's previous children. And it's not, and I did hear, okay, not just argue, but like with the language she used in the arguments. We'll get there. That makes perfect sense. It also makes perfect sense why DaniLeigh would make a song talking about yellow bone is what he want, even though she's not even Black, knowing good and well it would have been seen as a taunt towards the mother of DaBaby's previous children, who is darker complected, who social media already believes he left for DaniLeigh. And if not seen as a taunt towards her, then definitely a taunt towards darker complected Black women in general. Whether I have all of the specifics about the behind the scenes backstories right is not the point though. The point is, these women were emboldened enough to stand contemptuously against the mothers that came before them. Look at all that they were willing to put at risk just to show that they were different, if not better, than the baby mamas, just to end up in their same position. Why did they end up in their same positions? It's not karma, I can tell you that much, so y'all could give that one a rest. It is not any outside force that is outside of our control. It is because the patriarchy will not save you. It will never save you, no matter what you do, no matter how much loyalty you show, no matter how nice it seemed to you in the first half. When it comes down to it, you will not be spared. Pick-me's. What can I say? Y'all are annoying. Yes, often described as the weakest link. Yes, a pick-me is a woman who uses misogynistic values to degrade other women in hopes of making herself seem more desirable to male partners. Now, the only appropriate follow-up question is, what do you gain from that? But you know what? If you actually take the time to ponder that question, the appeal is pretty obvious. As I mentioned also in my Sleeping Your Way to the Top video, there are women who are completely uninterested in any of this feminism shit, and that's okay. But I said, you know what, let me chill. I had already shaken the table enough in that video, but I'm ready to take it there in this one. So feminism does not cuddle with any of us at night. I don't know if that's all the way true. I mean, for some of us, there'd be a whole lot of gender equality in our bed, if you know what I'm saying. Feminism doesn't cuddle with them at night. Feminism doesn't send them a hey beautiful text in the morning. It doesn't offer them social protection and economic advancement. It simply doesn't. However, as we can see in the cases of Summer Walker and DaniLeigh, although the fathers of their children have displayed misogynistic qualities either publicly or in their work, look at what aligning themselves with these men did for them. DaniLeigh did have a popularity in her own right, long before DaBaby, but as soon as we saw her next to him, are we gonna pretend like that didn't have a clear as day impact on her follower count and her streaming numbers and just her overall visibility? Same thing with Summer Walker. Her first album, Over It, that was produced by London on the Track. And what did that do for her? It broke records. It won her awards. It really solidified her place as a true artist and not just a one-hit wonder after Girls Need Love. Y'all, these are life-changing rewards. And I can see why that would beget a sense of loyalty. I can see why that would beget a sense of invincibility. To act the fool on the internet behind these men and essentially being a pick-me. While I was writing this chapter, I came across a video by a creator named miiasaurous. It's titled, "Nothing is wrong with being a pick-me, LOL." But if you actually watch the video, you would know that she's pretty much saying the complete opposite. Everything is wrong with being a pick-me. Everything is wrong with putting other women down to make yourself look better. But depending on the language we use to describe and criticize pick-me's, we can put them down also. So where does that leave us? We do need to be cognizant of our language. And you know what? I think I want to begin the first steps of just throwing away the term pick me altogether and just call it exactly what it is. Internalized misogyny. That way, we can be more realistic about how easy and convenient it is for any of us to fall into it. Some women, in the midst of their DaniLeigh and Summer Walker criticism, are falling into it right now. In research for this video, I was constantly running into rhetoric along the lines of, you see, this is what happens when you want to be a pick-me. This is what happens when you want to put other women down. This is what happens when you have poor pussy management. I saw a lot. You are still missing the point. It's one thing to acknowledge that these women put other women down to make themselves look better, and that's fucked up. Sure. But for the women who take pick-me call-outs as an opportunity to display their authenticity, their killer discernment, their grade A intuition, makes them a better kind of woman than a pick-me. They're not realizing that they're projecting the same internalized misogyny onto them that they were so quickly able to identify in them. And that fools them into believing that they are worlds away from ever being considered that type of woman without ever realizing that through a misogynistic patriarchal lens, they are the same. We are all the same. And see, this is another thing I wanted to say in my Sleeping Your Way to the Top video. You see, we call it rapper's baby mama and sugar baby and escort, hypergamous, femme fatale. We have all of these classifications and all these rankings within the gender. And then what do men call us? Hoes! So this is why I always try to maintain a compassionate and understanding feminist politic, even if the women I'm extending compassion to are making it difficult for the rest of us, because certain dynamics can really lead us to believe that this is like a bad woman versus good woman thing. And the key to getting yourself out of these situations is to just, work towards being a good woman. No, you cannot scorn your way out of being a pick-me. You cannot scorn your way out of internalized misogyny. You have to pull that shit up from the root and really do the work to unlearn things and reshape entire modes of thinking, because patriarchy has no gender. Shout out to Bell Hooks. You cannot hate other women as a means to outrun hatred that the patriarchy has already preserved for you. I found myself escaping this cycle, this paradox, when I learned to disagree without bigoted rhetoric. It's still a work in progress though. Thank you all so much for watching, especially if you made it all the way to the end of the video. Just one more quick announcement before I let you go. So, after much consideration, I have decided to move forward with round 2 of my Noir Holiday Benefit. It just had such a great turnout last year. I was like, yeah, I gotta bring it back. But if you're unfamiliar, it's basically a document that lists companies, organizations, and people who could use some assistance this holiday season. I usually list it in the description, and it's available for anyone to view and donate as they please. This year's benefit will go live in my next upload, but in the meantime, if you or someone you know would like to be included, go ahead and copy, paste, and fill out the form that's listed in the description, and then submit your information to this email, noirholidaybenefit@gmail.com. And let me go ahead and say, even though I only got this question one time last year, let me just go ahead and address it. I ask people to include their race and, if they're comfortable, their sexuality, because people deserve to know exactly who their money is going to. Some people are on a mission to support specific marginalized groups because some groups are disproportionately undersupported. Last year we had a key where we color coded all of the entries, and I think it was like schooling, medical, and housing. That was super helpful, especially for me. Like, if I want to say, okay, today I want to give X amount of dollars to a Black woman who's about to get evicted, or I want to give X amount of dollars to a trans person who needs some sort of procedure, or I want to give X amount of dollars to someone who's struggling with their tuition. So yeah, that's why I do it, and I'm not changing it. Be sure to leave your thoughts and your comments down below. Give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down, however you're feeling today, and subscribe for more content. I'll catch you in the next video. Bye.